Hello, I'm Steven Weber. In 1945, Berklee was founded as the first music school rooted in jazz and music of the African cultural diaspora. Since 1977, the Power Station has hosted sessions for countless black artists, producers, and songwriters who collectively changed the face of popular culture. The contributions of black musicians, professors, and executives have played a key role at the Power Station at BerkleeNYC. Given our history, values, multicultural faculty, student body, and alumni community, we have an institutional imperative with respect to racial justice. In the words of Angela Davis, in a racist society, it is not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist. For too many, this is an issue of life and death. Black lives matter. If you'd like to learn more and find out how you can help, we invite you to visit blacklivesmatter.com, colorofchange.org, and other links listed in the notes for this podcast. We invite everyone to join us as we recommit to our core values to ensure that everyone within our community is treated with dignity and respect, and to do the hard work of dismantling the systemic racism ingrained within our society and institutions. Thank you. From New York, it's the Power Station podcast from Berklee, NYC. I'm your host, Steven Weber. In this episode, Shelbie Rassler's viral virtual version of What the World Needs Now is Love. Lawrence Manchester on mixing The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon from home. We compare 3 two-channel interfaces. Journeyman engineer Josh Abbey shares stories from the early days of the Power Station. We take a look at the big picture of immersive media and how to watch it. And the staff does some cooking. Shelbie Rassler is a composer, arranger, and recent graduate of the Boston Conservatory at Berklee. A multi-instrumentalist with a passion for conducting and composing, Shelbie's work has already found its way into a number of short films, documentaries, and commercials. In March, when the coronavirus caused colleges across the world to cancel the rest of their spring semester, Shelbie hatched an idea on her way home to Florida. Within days, she had assembled an online orchestra, arranged a piece specifically for them, and recorded, mixed, and edited a music video of the classic song, What the World Needs Now is Love.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone.
The music video caught fire, racking up millions of views on YouTube and thrusting Shelbie into the spotlight as a source of inspiration with a vision of hope and togetherness in the trying times of the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. Shelbie Rassler, welcome to the Power Station podcast at BerkleeNYC.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, you've kind of set the world on fire here. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of making this viral version of What the World Needs Now is Love? What does this song mean to you, and why now?
Absolutely. So at the Boston Conservatory, where I go to school, we had actually just finished up our Valentine's Day themed cabaret performance. We actually used this song as the sort of finale big number for the show. And so the song was really just kind of in my brain, and it's just a song that I've always loved. But then I specifically remember actually hearing it in 2016 when the group Broadway for Orlando did a cover of this song in honor and kind of in remembrance of the Pulse nightclub shooting that happened in Orlando at the time. So, of course, in the face of such tragedy and just such a horrific event, a community of artists brought this song, and it was really healing and really kind of motivating and brought a lot of hope to myself and others. So I kind of remembered that immediately and thought that this would be the perfect song for what we're all going through right now.
Oh, great. Where did you get your tech chops?
Honestly, like YouTube tutorials. My background is very much in writing and composing and all of this. But yeah, the whole tech aspect of this project is not something that was super well versed in before. And I'm a multi-instrumentalist, so I enjoy creating these videos where I write small, 1-minute arrangements for Instagram, and I play a bunch of different instruments and kind of create those videos that you see with the boxes and everything.
What instruments do you play?
My primary instruments are alto saxophone and drum set, actually.
Saxophone and drum set. That's an interesting double.
Two very kind of opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of instruments in general. But I do all of the kind of woodwind doublings and flute, clarinet, all that.
Talk to us about your own compositions and your career ambitions.
Sure, yeah. I would say my kind of compositional style is most influenced by kind of French Impressionism and kind of, Debussy, Ravel land is what I'm super interested in right now. I think that my style definitely has evolved and kind of morphed over the last 4 years. Also, I love writing for orchestra. That's probably my favorite thing to do. And chamber ensembles and, string quartet and things like this. But yeah, I'm a sucker for strings. I like strings a lot.
Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, 20 years?
So I kind of see myself, just being a more project-based musician than a kind of job-based musician, if that makes sense. There will be definitely some film scoring that I would love to do. And I guess I love collaborating. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that my career will take the turns and twists that it needs to kind of work with as many people as I possibly can and work with kind people that, have similar goals and, just everything like that is really, really important to me.
In speaking with you, I know it's occurred to you what a unique, unusual, and somewhat abnormal experience you're having right now. Could you talk to us a little bit about having this kind of, career success during such a strange time as a global pandemic?
Exactly like you said. My experience right now is very abnormal in every way, shape, or form. And I think that, I've spent a lot of time making the conscious effort to remind myself that I am so lucky right now and I'm so grateful. And at the same time, there are people who are losing their lives and they're losing their loved ones. And there are people all around the world who this is absolutely the darkest time that they've ever experienced by far. So putting all of the kind of views and television and everything aside, I feel really lucky to just have my health with my family. And I think that, this project has really taught me a lot about how important community is and how important just the arts are in general to humanity. I think that this whole time that we're all going through has really opened up people's eyes to how important the arts are. And even, the people who, are spending 12 hours a day watching Netflix, like in the darkest of days, you're turning to the arts to cheer you up, in any capacity. I'm now working on projects to more geared towards raising awareness for what we're all going through and also honoring the frontline workers and the healthcare workers that are risking their lives.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Shelbie, it's been wonderful speaking with you. Give us some final thoughts. What's your takeaway from these last few months?
The main takeaways, I would say, keep creating art and keep doing the things that make you happy. And I think that I would encourage everyone to, if you're feeling alone, you don't have to feel lonely. Like, you might physically be alone, but you don't have to feel lonely right now.
Shelbie, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
We've been speaking with Shelbie Rassler, recent graduate from the Boston Conservatory at Berklee. Check out Shelbie's YouTube channel, where you'll find her original music, covers of popular TV show themes, and the viral What the World Needs Now Is Love, Corona Edition. Up next, the Studio Spotlight with Ian Kagey.
Lawrence Manchester is a staple of the New York City recording scene. Starting his career at Power Station in the 1990s, Lawrence has carved out a prolific career as a producer and engineer on countless film and TV scores, music albums, and Broadway cast recordings. In addition to that work, Lawrence has been the music mixer on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon since the show's inception. This job, which usually happens in a multi-million-dollar TV studio at 30 Rockefeller Center in New York City, has now, in the midst of the pandemic, had to adapt to being a completely at-home production. This involves all segments being filmed, edited, assembled, and released remotely on an incredibly tight schedule. I got to speak with Lawrence about how the workflow has evolved and what it's been like to continue to produce high-level content in this new remote environment.
Yeah, we're a couple of months into this now, and it has evolved incrementally. We never missed a beat, actually. We started doing shows right away. I think we showed one repeat on a Friday, and then the following Monday started doing some best of clip shows, but with some live introductions from Jimmy. He would set them up, and then we would show clips from prior episodes. And then the following week we did longer segments with Jimmy and fewer clips. And then shortly after that we went into full-length shows produced in this remote fashion. And, you know, thank goodness for the technology we have today with internet, with Zoom conferencing, and the high quality you can shoot with personal smartphones and all that stuff. I mean, that's what's getting us through this. It's how we're conducting this discussion now, but it's also how a lot of the TV shows and the news programs especially have adapted. Every morning we have a Zoom production meeting with everybody that I used to work with shoulder to shoulder at 30 Rock. We all get on and talk through the day, the show that we're putting together that day, but also future episodes for the next few days and into the following week, things that require lead time or scripts to be written or music to be composed. That's what we did before. We're still doing that now, just in this remote fashion, and using servers to upload files back and forth, secure sites to collaborate remotely, and stay very organized in terms of the deadlines and the lead times that are required to make sure that things are delivered on time to keep this machine rolling. That's always been the process, but now it has to have a little bit more organization and advance notice to pull things off, because it might require shipping equipment out to somebody. It might require coordinating people that are on different time zones. It might require some back and forth in the post-production process, which before you'd all just crowd around the same screen and make your edit decisions that way. Now it all has to be pushed back and forth, and notes are passed around in a slower fashion. So it's kind of the same level of work taking place. It's just done a little slower and decentralized, but the goal, the mark, is still very high.
What's the lead time?
It's still same day. It's you know, the show needs to be topical for the jokes to land. There may be elements that are taped ahead of time in order, just for scheduling, but generally it's all still produced the same day. When we're doing as many shows as we are, it's kind of difficult to get that far ahead of yourself, because you're always creating a show.
When does the audio get sent to you in the process?
It's all case by case. Anything that the Roots are contributing to the show still comes my way. I mix them and deliver them. Musical guest segments are kind of varied. A lot of musicians have home recording setups now, and so when you're watching those performances, what you're usually seeing is them filming themselves, recording themselves, and usually mixing themselves too. They're usually delivering us finished pieces that reflect, you know, whatever they were capable of producing with the technology they had and the talents they had. Occasionally they might send something to me and I'll mix it, or I'll do a touch-up pass on something just to make it ready for broadcast. It's all case by case, and I think, you know, when you watch you can kind of see everyone's take on what they were going for. It does vary.
Speaking of that, have you been working out of your home?
All the work that I've done has been at home. So I've been mixing records. I've been mixing music for The Tonight Show. I just finished mixing a special thing, an at-home concert performance for Camila Cabello. And all of that has been from the comfort and chaos of my home studio setup, which I never had a home studio setup. I kind of chose to work outside of the home, and having these great spaces in town to work out of was a real blessing and a pleasure. But now by necessity, I've brought a bunch of gear home, and that's where I'm working these days.
Yeah, it's a crazy world right now, certainly for trying to produce these things.
But we're figuring it out, you know. It's amazing to see what people are able to put together, and how people are finding new ways to collaborate, and you know, the barriers are being broken down, and there's some really creative stuff coming out of it that we wouldn't have had otherwise.
Thanks again to Lawrence Manchester. To see what they've been up to, check out NBC.com/The Tonight Show.
And now, DIY music production tips with Arjun Roy.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing as well as can be. Here are 3 recommendations for 2-input audio interfaces at 3 different price points, and specifically what you get as you level up. Each unit features 2 inputs for both XLR and 1/4-inch cables, independent headphone outputs with the ability to switch or blend between the direct input monitoring or the DAW output. Also, the recording resolution goes up to 24-bit 192K over either USB-C or Thunderbolt 3. Number 1. The Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 3rd Gen. This is the most affordable option out of the 3, priced at around $160 US, or about $220 Canadian. I've used this unit lots over the years, and what gets me every time is the ease of use. Plug and play. It's really that simple. You can buy this thing, get home, unpack it, and start recording within minutes. The 3rd Gen in the title refers to the newest version with an added air button on each channel. This adds some high-end sparkle in emulation of Focusrite's classic ISA preamps. The purchase includes Ableton Live LITE, Pro Tools First Creative Pack, as well as the Red 2 and 3 suite of Focusrite plugins. Number 2. The SSL 2 Plus. This is priced at about $279 US, that's about $380 Canadian. Yes, SSL has entered the small interface market. Each channel features switchable phantom power, line, and high Z inputs. On the back you'll find MIDI connectivity as well as 2 headphone and RCA outputs. What has everyone talking is the Legacy 4K button. This adds brightness and upper harmonics that emulate the legendary 4K series large format consoles. This is achieved via an analog circuit path when engaged. Full disclosure, I own this unit and I use it all the time for recording and overdubs on the go. This purchase includes a license for SSL's DRUMSTRIP and VOCALSTRIP 2 plugins, as well as Ableton Live LITE, Pro Tools First, and several gigs of loops and sounds. Number 3. The Universal Audio Apollo Twin X Duo. This is priced at around $800 US, that's about $1,100 Canadian. You may recognize this unit because everyone seems to have it. Whether it's in a backpack, a home studio, or part of a major artist or producer's setup, the Apollo Twin has become ubiquitous with high-quality recording and industry-standard plugins in a small form factor. This unit features 2 unison mic pre's and excellent AD-DA conversion. While you'll find a high Z input and headphone output right on the front of this unit, there are a variety of buttons and controls on top. Each channel features a high-pass filter, phantom power, pad, and polarity flip. Plus, you have a variety of control room style functionality such as talkback, dim, and the ability to monitor in mono. On the back, in addition to the monitor outputs, you'll find 2 additional line outputs and an optical input for ADAT or SPDIF connectivity. You can daisy chain additional UAD hardware units as you scale up and continue using the Twin as a control room front end. The Duo refers to the amount of onboard DSP processing that you'd like. If you buy the Quad option, it costs more and also comes with increased processing power. Speaking of which, this purchase includes the UAD Real-Time Analog Classics bundle, your entree into the UAD system of hardware and software integration. The proprietary Universal Audio plugins, and there are over 100 currently, have become an industry standard. This unit gives you over a dozen that you can use live while tracking with near zero latency, and of course during mixdown. Also included is Universal Audio's own DAW, the Luna recording system. I've worked in studios using the Universal Audio hardware and software, and I've definitely recorded sources using a variety of these plugins engaged on the way in. They sound great. Have you used, or do you currently use, any of these interfaces? Be sure to let us know how it's going. Stay tuned for more, and above all, be well.
Here's Tales from the Tape Vault with Roy Hendrickson.
Hi, my name is Roy Hendrickson, and today we're going to speak with Josh Abbey. Josh began at Power Station around 1980 and has worked on many wonderful records. Today he has some really wonderful stories to share. Hi Josh, I really appreciate your time.
Hey Roy, my pleasure. How did you come to find out about Power Station? Did you come there early on, or did you hear about it? Were you?
Yeah, I knew about it when it was getting built. I was friends with Ivan Walters and Don Berman. who was one of the original engineers there. They all came from media, including Bob and Tony, of course.
Sure.
You know, these weren't really people that I knew besides Ivan, but I knew Lawrence was a studio manager. She desperately wanted to get rid of some guy who was there. The worst of it, apparently, was that he never showed up on time. So she wanted to get rid of him, and she asked me more than once. And I said, "You going to pay me for sitting there and answering the phone that doesn't ring until, you know, and for sharpening pencils?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." I was there by 8 always, doing what I was supposed to do. And what I would do is in the morning, do that, and then move up the stairs to the tape library, to, you know, all the things that you did.
Sure, absolutely.
Things that we started with. A little bit of time into when it became a full-time thing for me, Johnny Bon Jovi showed up one day. This young kid sitting in front of me, and we were just chatting. He was wearing jeans and jazz shoes, and he said that he was Tony Bon Jovi's how many removed cousin, and so he stayed on, and we did everything together for about the next 7 or 8 months. We covered all the responsibilities, including driving. You remember that big Buick Electra? Was that still there when you were around?
I think it was, no. Was that Bob's car?
Yeah. We were, including driving that to Bank Leumi on 5th Avenue and circling the block to get the payroll.
I used to go do that,
you know,
too.
a couple of times, like we walked into places together. Johnny was a good-looking guy. And we walked into CBS Records when they still had tons of employees. And we're going through, and every woman that, as Johnny was walking in front of me, and as he was walking by, every woman did one of these. And I said, "This guy's got a good shot at going somewhere." You know, sure. I mean, he was a head turner for them. And
that's funny.
You know, when I started to get into studios, doing exactly what you and Gary described the other day, is spending every minute of time that I could, but I didn't have another responsibility. If there was an open room, asked permission, took out a tape box, asked about whose box it was, whether it was one of Bon Jovi Walter's productions. I would figure out how to mix stuff, figure out how to do everything.
Sure.
And just spent a ton of time whenever I could mixing it. I had mixed for months before I ever actually recorded something.
Wow.
And I remember Bob assigning me one of the BW artists to do it from 5:30 a.m. until I started. This guy was a go-go guy from DC named Yardbird, and he was really good. And I remember the first time I set up a mic and started recording him, and I said, "Oh, you know what?" I said, "Oh, this is just like mixing, except it's microphones instead of tape."
Right.
And that really became how I saw everything for the rest of my...
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Everything for me was from a mix perspective, and the mics, you know, adjusting mics, EQing, whatever it was, setting them up wherever it was. It was according to my mixing ears.
Yeah, I really liked how that general attitude and feeling about Power Station was, you know, a lot of camaraderie between everybody, but there was also a real seriousness, like a mission critical seriousness to the way to run sessions and set them up.
We had a huge, we were taught, and all of us, it was sort of unspoken but spoken. Every one of us had a huge amount of pride in doing things the right way and doing things the best we could.
Sure.
And not cutting corners, and whether or not the effort was going to take longer or shorter, it was all meaningless.
Favorite sessions?
I would have to say, well, Dylan, obviously, Infidels, and I did his next album, all the New York work, called Empire Burlesque. So yeah, those are 2 favorites. Pretty much everything I did with Bernard, and maybe not even for the album, but the fun that we had. Brian Wilson. Worked with all the New York stuff. I actually recorded the song Love and Mercy. Jimmy Braylauer did work on that. Russ Heidelman was producing. And that was a major thrill. What a human being Brian Wilson was. I worked with 2 geniuses and a bunch of virtuosos. I put Dylan as a genius. I put Brian Wilson as a genius. I loved working with Jack and Lee on, it was the Knack, Graham Parker, Worked with Carlos Santana, who was a side player for a McCoy Tyner album. So that band was really good, and that was a huge thrill for me because I was a maniac for Santana, especially his live stuff. We were lucky to have the careers that we did.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed spending time with you today, and hopefully one day we can do it in person.
Really was my pleasure, Roy. We're really lucky to have been part of something that great. Great times.
To hear Roy Hendrickson's full conversation with Josh Abbey, go to the Power Station at BerkleeNYC's YouTube channel or Facebook page. Next, let's visit the staff lounge with Ben Miller.
Babe, is everything okay?
4 hours earlier.
Today, we're making soup.
Today I'm going to make toad in the hole for dinner.
My infamous Kodiak cakes.
Get it?
Today we're going to cook spinach. We'll be making a ham and cheese egg scramble.
I'm going to be making audio salad.
We're cooking some salmon.
Smooth and steady, stir the soup. Oh yeah.
Tonight we're going to order a
some dog food.
pizza.
And I'm going to be making a sourdough pizza.
So, what do I need to know?
Toad in the hole for dinner.
So for that, we've got some whole wheat flour, some semolina flour, some 00 flour,
drippings, herbs and seasoning,
some salt and some water,
and Yorkshire pudding.
We'll be back in just a moment with all of these in a pot.
Real spinach only grows in the Champagne region of France, where it is plucked from the teeth of the inhabitants.
We start here with fresh electric bucatini. I've already washed and dried it and cleaned it.
Here's my spatula.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to chop up some fresh herbs to put in my batter. Looking good.
First thing we're going to do is grab our
phone.
I'm just saying, like, maybe a little early.
P for pizza.
You just gotta wait. You just gotta wait. This is ridiculous.
Get your spinach into the frying pan.
We just add some new vacuum tubes.
Skin side down.
Put a lot of it in.
Vintage vacuum tubes that were in my pull text.
Once we've added in our ingredients, we just kind of mix.
The most important part, the mix. It's all about the feel.
Dough. Food and Drug Administration, animal violation.
Alright, and then we have...
Yes, we are a repeat offender.
Enjoy.
Oh my goodness, more food.
A beautiful birthday cake.
Food.
That is a beautiful meal, honey.
Food. Oh, what the wait.
Dog eating dog food.
This is my favorite salad. I hope you like it.
This soup smells delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's time for Spatial Awareness with Glenn Forsythe.
In today's episode of Spatial Awareness, we're taking a broad look at immersive media and how you can enjoy a whole new way to watch and listen to music. Here at the Power Station, we've taken a deep dive into the world of 360 video and audio production. We also want to make sure that people can enjoy these experiences at home in the best way possible. But first of all, let's take a step back and ask, what is immersive media? Virtual reality, augmented reality, cinematic VR, spatial audio, the list of terms go on and on. But what is this all actually about? They all belong to a new form of media that allows for interactivity from the viewer. Immersive media means that you, the viewer, can engage at a deeper level by letting you decide what you're looking at or hearing. For instance, in a 360-degree video, this means that you can watch video while at the same time moving your perspective of the video around in 360 degrees. This isn't just for video either. The sounds you are hearing will also change perspective thanks to big developments in what's called spatial audio. For music,
being able to look around and see artists performing all around you and hearing them as if you're really there in the room with them made it a no-brainer for us to start making 360 videos. All of the rooms at the power station have both stunning acoustic and visual appeal, and were designed with the intention of capturing a live, simultaneously recorded performance. What previously could only be experienced with huge, expensive, and heavy VR equipment can now easily be viewed on any computer or smartphone on major online platforms such as YouTube and Facebook. Virtual reality headsets have gotten cheaper as well, which brings a fully immersive experience by putting on a device that responds to your head and body movements. You can even purchase a very simple VR headset from Google called Google Cardboard that uses your smartphone as the screen for a measly $15. To view our projects or other 360 videos online on your computer, you can watch them on either YouTube or Facebook. It's really important that you make sure that you're using the latest version of your browser. And for spatial audio to work correctly, we recommend using Google Chrome. To check out 360 videos on your smartphone or tablet, make sure you have either the YouTube or Facebook app installed on your device to view the videos. For the best spatial audio experience, please use headphones to listen. While spatial audio will play on your laptop or device speakers, this type of interactive audio is designed for headphones and is a must for getting the best experience possible. We hope that the videos that we've made and continue to make give you a chance to be part of this legendary studio responsible for so many amazing recordings over the years. Dive in and immerse yourself.
That's it for this episode of The Power Station at Berkeley NYC. Contributors include Ian Kagey, Ryan Nava, Glenn Forsythe, Ben Miller, Etta Catello, Arjun Roy, Gavin Berger, and Roy Hendrickson. I'm Stephen Weber. If you'd like to hear more, subscribe. To engage, leave us a comment. Thanks for joining us.